So let me show you a quick way to add a password protection field to a Google form. If you're collecting data and you don't want random folks to be clicking your QR code that you've placed in a public place and submitting form data, you can prevent that from happening by using this hack. So let's just go to Google Drive in our web browser and right-click in a blank area to create a new Google form. You can do this to any existing Google form. It's a simple process. Let's just pretend this is one of your Google forms that you've set up to collect data. Let me put a title in here. And what you're going to do is you're going to add a new section. So the button to add a new section is this button over here on the little toolbar that will add a section. So what you're going to just add that new section, and what it does is it pushes your section that was pre-existing down, so all your questions that were there will move down, and now you have this new section up here. So we're going to add a new question to this section by clicking the plus sign. So just click that section to highlight it, click the plus sign, and we're going to add a new question. So we're just going to make this question: please enter the password as the prompt. And you can make sure that the question type is short answer from your question types. And then make sure that the question is required, because what we want is for people to have to respond with the correct word, and it will not allow them to go past this question unless they type the correct word in. So we'll go over here to the three dots and choose response validation. That will force different formats. Like, for example, if you were asking for somebody for their email address, it would make them include something with the @ sign, then something dot something to make a proper email host name. But we're going to choose from this drop-down list here, regular expression. And then from the second drop-down, there's an option that says matches. And then you can type in what you want your pattern to be, or the word that we're going to use for our password. And then for the custom error text, if someone doesn't type in the correct password, we're going to prompt them again by saying, please try again. Make sure that down here it says after section 1, continue to the next section. So basically that'll just take them on to your original form if they correctly respond to the prompt to enter a password here. So let's test this out. We're going to click the preview button up here, and notice that there's a prompt here for the password. We're going to type in a wrong password so we can test that. That's the wrong password. Bob is not the correct password. Rich Simpson is the correct password, and you can click next, and it will take you on to the remainder of your form. So I want to show you a feature of Google Forms called pre-filled links, which allows you to send a form to someone with some of the selections already made. And you'll find 1,000 uses for this feature of Google Forms. In the hypothetical scenario that I'm going to present to you now, I'm going to say maybe we are using a form to collect caregiver data on preferred items that we'll use in a reinforcer preference assessment. So what we want to get is a spreadsheet that has all of our students listed in it, and then in the first column, and then in the rows next to the student for the next 4 or 5 columns, 6 columns, whatever, you can collect some information about preferred items and activities that you can use in your reinforcer preference assessment. So I already have a simple form made up to demonstrate this. So here is a form. It's got 4 students' initials and then just 4 blanks for a short text answer that would have a highly preferred item suggested. Probably in the case of this question, I have it set up as multiple choice. We probably want to change this to a drop-down list so that caregivers will only see the initials of the student or the name of the student that you send to them and not the others. So we can go up here to the buttons next to the toolbar at the top and choose Get a Pre-filled Link. And what that will allow us to do is actually make some choices here. And in my case, I'm just going to choose the first student's initials. And then I'm going to choose the option underneath the form to choose Get a Link with that one first response already pre-filled. Choose Get a Link. and then now we'll choose copy the link. And you want to make sure that people can open this at home, and since they won't have accounts on your system, you can go to settings and make sure that the responses option under responses to restrict to users in your, for example, this is project access, but it would be your school district. Turn that off so anybody can submit the form who receives it in email. And some of these forms rely on a feature called security through obscurity. No one is going to be able to guess this link. You can see what it looks like at the top of the page. But let's go test this now in a new tab in Firefox, another web browser. And so you can see that it has the first option already chosen. There's a lot of ways you could use this. You could collect times that parents want to come in, caregivers want to come in for parent-teacher conferences. You could have a grid that has the times that are available. You could send it out, and they could choose a slot of times that correspond to their child, or something like that. Like I said, there's a million uses for it. So I want to show you how to share your form. Let's say you've developed the most awesome data collection form, and the other teachers in your building or other teachers in your district or other behavior analysts that you happen to know want to have your same form so they can use it in their own environment. So to give somebody a copy of a form that you've created, basically you're going to go to that form, double click it to open it, and then you will grab the URL for the form and copy it. And you can paste this directly into an email. I'm actually going to paste it directly into another web browser so I can show you how this works. I will just paste it in here. And what you're going to do is save that web address, but take off the word edit. So let's just backspace over that. And instead replace it with the word copy. So this link right here, you can send to somebody in an email. You can text it to somebody, whatever you want to do. When they receive it, what's going to happen is it's going to show them a web page that looks like this. Would you like to make a copy of this form? And you can click the copy button to make a copy of it, and it will save it. It will prompt you to log into your own Google and save it to your own Google Drive. And so that's an easy, simple way to share forms with the people without them accessing your form and your data. So let's pretend for a moment that you've created this most beautiful form, has great questions in it, and you want to reuse those questions. Well, fortunately, Google Forms created a great way for us to do that. So let me demonstrate that for you now. I'm just going to go here to my Google Drive window in Google Chrome, and I'm going to create a new form. It's just giving me this prompt because this actually is a shared folder between Lauren and myself. But let me create a new form. I don't need this question here, but I'm going to add a new question, then I'm going to delete this one. So this is going to be my new beautiful form. Beautiful form. There we go. There's a button over here in the toolbar that says import questions. So Google added this feature recently. It lets you bring in questions from other forms. So we're going to pretend for the moment that my beautiful form is the form I'm going to pull a question from. So I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to click the select button to select it. It's going to give me a list of all the questions that I have on that form, and I can choose any of the questions just simply by clicking the checkbox next to the question and choosing import. So this is not actually a beautiful form, because if you look at the form, it's a behavior occurrence form where they're documenting behavior occurrence, but forget for the moment that they have not operationally defined any of the behaviors, and they're assuming that they know what the function might be before they've performed an FBA. But we're just going to pretend this is a great question and we wanted to recycle it. So now I have imported this in my new form, and I'm ready to rock and roll. Okay, sometimes people ask if there's a way to submit a form and then open that same form up again later with the data that's already been entered and just continue to edit it. You've done this in your own life when you've updated your contact information that's stored in some database somewhere, and you're presented with a form that already has your contact information in it and asked to update it, for example. This might be the case if you have a ABC data collection form that includes all the days of the week and different times of the day, and there may be different people submitting the form data. You may need to work on that on Monday and then close the form and pull it back up on Tuesday and continue to add data to it. So is there a way to do that? Well, there are a couple of ways, and one is the easy way and one is a little bit more difficult way, and I'll show you both of them, and you can pick your poison. So let me just open up that form that I was using in a previous example, and it's a simple form. This one is just the one where we had some students listed and then some highly preferred items so that we could use those data that we'd gathered from caregivers so that we could do a reinforcer preference assessment. In order for this to work, you need to go to Settings and go to Responses, and be sure you turn on the Allow Response Editing. That's the feature in Google Forms that allows us to open a form back up and edit the response after we submitted it. All right, so now that we've turned that on, let's go to the form and we'll do a submission. So we'll test this out. So maybe his highly preferred item is a ball, and he also likes a Hot Wheels car. And he enjoys a Skittle from time to time, and maybe he likes to watch videos on the iPad, and he likes to swing. Okay, all right, so let's submit the form, and you will notice that when we submit this form, we have an option that we didn't have before we turned on that feature, which is edit your response. And if you hover over that link, you can see in the bottom in the status bar what that link looks like, but you can right click on it and choose copy the link address, and then you can save that link address to a text file or email it to yourself or something, and that web address can be reopened later and you can go back to that form and submit it. So let's see how that works. I'm gonna close the form and close the form, and then just paste that link into a new browser window and go back, and there it is, all of the stuff that we've edited or that we've added. And maybe his preferred items change over time, and so this would be an option. You could go in this simple example and change these. Okay, so that's the easy way. Let's talk about the more difficult way. Also, I should say that was a long, complicated link if you look up here in the window, and there's a lot of ways to shorten URLs, which I'll talk about in another video soon. But we can actually go have this form create links for us as people submit it. So if you are using the same form for multiple students and you want to be able to use that form over multiple days and just bring up the same form and add data to it, there is a way to do that. So let's see how that works. So I'm going to go back to the edit view of this form. Let me just open it back up, and if we go to the response tab at the top, we can actually open this in a spreadsheet, a Google spreadsheet. And since I haven't created one yet, it will create it the first time we go in here. And here's the spreadsheet. So there is a, if you go to the data tab, there's, the extensions tab, there's an apps script that you can set up. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So we just go to the app script window, and I'm going to give you the script that we're going to use. This is a script that I've used before. So here's the script, and all you have to do is copy paste all of this text, JavaScript, and go back to your form, to the script editor, select all this, delete it, and then paste in the new script. And we're going to click save. Actually, you probably want to give this a name. Add response URLs or web addresses. So click rename, save it, and then we will go back to the spreadsheet. Well, it's actually not finished saving yet. We'll give it a minute to save it. Then we can close this, and under the We may have to refresh the screen. And what happens when you refresh it, a new menu pops up that says Forms. And if you click the Forms option and run, you can just click on this to run the script. It has to get authorization, so it's going to ask you for that. You only have to do this once, and it will have you log in. And with your Google account, scroll down, choose Allow, and that's a one-time operation. And voila, it has given us a link to edit the form submissions. So each time the form is submitted, it'll create this for you. And those would be the links that you could distribute to people to edit this one record. So if the record includes like ABC data that's over the course of days, you can get back to it and just add additional data to it. So the last thing I promised to show you was how people could submit a picture, take a picture of a permanent product, or even a video, just a file that you could upload and attach to form submission data. So if you wanted to capture something in video or image format, that's possible to do. So how would that work? So let's take a look. So let's go to the form that we've been using as a practice form. I'm going to open it up, and let's add a form submission item. So I'm just going to click on this question, so it will go after that question. Click the plus sign, and we will make this item be a file upload. So Google tells you that when people upload files, they'll have to log into Google. They'll have to have a Google account and sign in order to upload a file. That's the message it's telling us here. And then, so we'll click continue. And you can restrict file types. If you turn this feature on, you can make sure that it's only a video or only an image, only an audio recording, whatever it is that you want to allow. And then you can set a maximum file size and the number of files that someone can submit. All those options are configurable. Let's give the question a title. So please add permanent product file. And so when you add a file upload question type to your form, Google is going to create a container to hold uploaded files. So you can click this view folder option and see what that's going to look like. If you look at the breadcrumb trail up here, here's my Google Drive, there's my form, or there's the folder that the form is in, here's the form, and then here's a new folder that it's created that's titled the same thing that the question is titled. So please add permanent product file. It made a folder with that same name as the question name. And as people submit that, back at the form, we can choose, we can fill out the form, for example. I'm not going to fill all these in for the interest of time, but I'm going to go down to the file upload option, and you can click and add a file. I don't have a file prepared, but let me just fetch something off my desktop. So you can, we'll use this one right here, the URL. You can click browse, or if you have your browser window that's not full screen, you can just drag and drop a file in there and then click submit. That's actually a text file, which is, I didn't choose that option, so let me see if I have a image file on the computer. Yes, I have QR codes that we've been creating, so let me see if I can find those. That will be in the picture folder. Apologies. Here we are. Oh, sorry, no, they're actually going to be in the download folder. So there's QR image that I could drag and drop over here. So let me put that one over here, and you can see that it's submitted it. And if I go back and look, refresh my screen, I forgot to click the submit button, but let me click it now. And if I go back here, there's the file that I just uploaded. So it's kind of cool because it attaches your name to it as the uploader, whichever name it extracts from your Google account information.